Okay, so let's look at this one is comparing instead of gerbils to birds. This one is comparing cats to hamsters. So let's talk about cats to hamsters. So we have cats to hamsters. So how many cats are there?
45.
How many hamsters are there? Okay, 45 to 30. Again, we can reduce it. Okay, if we reduce it, we're going to get 3 to 2. Oops, let me write that a little neater. 3 to 2, cats to hamsters. Okay, and remember we talked about this yesterday. We're not ever going to divide the bottom into the top and get 1.5. That just doesn't work for what we're asking for, because in this case, they're asking us to compare cats to hamsters. So 3 to 2 is our answer. We don't divide it out. Now we're going to do rates today, and we will divide those. But if you're just writing a ratio, you don't want to simplify it and make it dividing 2 into 3 because it's improper. So you're just going to leave it 3 over 2. All right, so today we're going to talk about unit rates. And unit rate is simply what it is for 1. It's a kind of ratio that gives the amount for 1. Okay, now this kind, we are going to divide the bottom into the top because we're trying to find out how much it is for 1. We'll get to that in just a second. So your example was, if it's $15 for 3 apples, how much is it for 1 apple? You divide 3 into 15 and you get 5. So it's $5 per apple. Those are very expensive apples. I probably would not buy them. Okay? But that's how that works. All right, so when we're calculating unit rate, this is on your cutout, this is in your notebook. It says you're going to divide the two numbers in the order the question is asking. That is super important. And we're also going to label it the same way. And it's going to make sense to you in a second what I'm talking about. But it's very important that you label it correctly. Except, underline this in your notes. It says, except when using what? Cost. That means dollars. If it's talking about dollars or money of any kind, the price always goes on the top. Okay? So we're always going to put them in order unless it says money. Then the money's going to go on the top, or then when we divide it, it's going to go in the house. So money goes in the house. You want to remember it that way. So let's do this example. A chicken laid how many eggs?
25.
25 eggs in how many minutes?
5.
5 minutes. Okay? Now, the question comes, and this is where we're going to decide our order. When we look at the question, it says, how many eggs did the chicken lay in 1 minute? So our first step is to figure out what are we comparing. This is the most important part, because if we get this wrong, we get everything else wrong. So raise your hand when you know what we're comparing. What we're comparing. What do you think, Olivia?
How many eggs she laid? How many she laid in a minute?
So we are comparing eggs, hold on, to minutes. Now I'm going to write them as a fraction because that's the easiest to do math with. So write this on your paper, eggs to minutes. This is the most crucial step to getting the whole thing right. I promise you, I will not accept your answers if you don't write what you're comparing. It doesn't have to be fancy. Look, I wrote 2 letters, E and M. Okay, but I need you to know that you know which one goes where. So it says, how many eggs did the chicken lay in 1 minute? So eggs to minutes. Okay, now let's put the ones that go together. So how many eggs for how many minutes? 25 eggs in how many minutes? 5. Okay, do you see that? Now the number 1 is here, but that's separate because it's asking how many for 1. But the words, it said a chicken laid 25 eggs in 5 minutes. That means these two go together. It's in the same sentence. That's one reason you know. So 25 eggs in 5 minutes. Okay, now to figure out how many she laid in 1 minute, we're going to divide the bottom into the top. So let's go do that. So divide 5 into 25. Okay, now I realize you may not need to write that out, but just do it for now so you have it in your example so you know. Some of you you'll need to and some of you won't, but put it in your example so you know. So she laid 5, and now here is the other most important part, is we have to correctly label our answer. because otherwise we don't know what we're talking about. So she laid 5, and I'm going to show you a shortcut to figuring out how you label your answer. Are you ready? Here it is. It's right here. It's 5 eggs. Insert the word per minute. Eggs per minute. So right here we're going to put the word per, and that tells us exactly how to label our answer. So it is 5 eggs per minute. Circle your answer. All right, so this one is not in your notes, but let's talk about it together. It says, a 33-gallon aquarium has sprung a leak, and water is spilling out. After 11 minutes, the aquarium is empty. How many gallons are leaking out each minute? Okay, so each minute means it's going to be rate. It's telling us for 1 minute how many gallons are leaking out. So first of all, we're going to start by writing what are we comparing?
33 gallons and minutes.
Gallons to minutes. Gallons to minutes. Okay, and yes, you do need to write that part because when you get to the harder ones, it'll help you out a lot. So write it on the easy ones too. So gallons for minutes. How many gallons for how many minutes?
33 gallons and 11 minutes.
Yeah, 33 gallons for 11 minutes. And we're going to divide 11 into 33. How many per minute?
3.
So our answer is 3, and we're going to use this to write our answer. Gallons per minute. Okay? 3 gallons for 1 minute. 3 gallons per minute. Okay? Okay, let's look at this one. We have an oven. It heats to 400 degrees in 40 minutes. Now, notice the next sentence doesn't say how many something per something. But it does say what is the rate, that gives you a hint that it's a rate question, at which the oven heats up. So what are we comparing? Every time, first question, what are we comparing, Darren?
The degrees to the minutes.
Yeah, so degrees to minutes. We're comparing degrees to minutes, so we have 400 degrees to 40 minutes. Okay? We divide 40 into 400, what do we get? 10 degrees per minute. Okay? 10 degrees per minute. Y'all okay with that? Okay, Jimmy buys 2 comics for $62. What is the cost of 1 comic book? Okay, so what are we comparing? Okay, give me 2 words. 2 words. Comparing what to what? Comics to cost, or how about money? Comics to money. Okay, so am I going to write it like this? Comics to money? Okay, listen. If you're not sure, no, we're not writing it like that because what was the note that I gave you at the very beginning? What happens, Noah? Money always has to be on the top. So let's go back and we got to put our money on the top. So we have dollars to comics. So now we have $62 to 2 comics. Divide 2 into 62 and we'll get 31, and you can write it like this, $31 per comic. All right, this one is in your notes. If $255 is distributed equally among 5 people, how much money is that per person? Go ahead and do this one on your paper. See if you can remember all of the steps. I'm going to help you in just a minute. But try to answer all the steps without my help. Okay, how many people got this answer? $51 per person. Excellent. Okay, remember you had to put money on top, divided by the number of people. It should have gone 51 times evenly, $51 per person. By the way, if it doesn't go evenly, you need to add a decimal and some zeros and keep dividing. That's going to happen on your practice today. Which brings me to the next thing I want us to talk about, which is money and how we write money as a decimal. This is your cutout.
Could you turn around to my own business?
Okay, it says, how much money is 0.2? Rewrite using the dollar sign. So let's talk about that one. Okay, be very careful about where you put the dollar sign because money always has two numbers behind the decimal. So on the first one, it's going to look like this. Put our dollar sign. Decimal, we need two numbers behind the decimal. It is not 2 cents, it is 20 cents. Okay? Because it's 2 tenths, not 200ths. It's very important that you put the decimal in the right place. And whenever you're working with money, always put two numbers behind the decimal. Because that's just the way money looks. And remember, we talked about this before. That is not the same as this. Because that actually means 0.0020. And that's not the same thing. That means less than a penny.
Oh yeah, I told them. What's over? And I told them that. And they gave me their thing.
They did? Okay, go ahead and do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Write those out with a dollar sign. No cent signs. Not this. Oops. Not this.
Wait.
Bro, stop.
All right, so look at your answers. Make sure yours look like these. So the first one, 0.3 is really 0.30 because it's got to be 2. So it's 30 cents, not 3. This 0.05 is 5 cents. 0.23 is 23 cents. And 0.5 is 50 cents. Okay? So be careful when you work those on your practice.
So if there's already